Hey guys, I'm Kai, and today I'm going to show you a few different ways to paint water droplets. So, water droplets. Yeah! So I've been asked by a few different people if I can show how to paint water droplets. So there's a few different ways that you can do it. I'm going to show you a few myself, and hopefully this will help you out with your paintings. So the first thing I'm going to do is just add a layer. Select a brush. For this I'm going to just grab a round brush. Something everybody has, right? And really quick, I will tell you kind of how I control my brush. If this is the size it currently is, I usually toggle my left bracket key and my right bracket key to increase size or decrease size. So that's what I do for size. Now with my round brush, I can also control by clicking shift and left bracket or shift and right bracket the hardness of the brush. So if I go, I'm going to just do it really all the way. So if I hit shift and left bracket, you'll see it kind of move a little bit, but now it becomes an airbrush. I've hit shift and right bracket a bunch of times. It's now a hard brush again. And then of course you have those in betweens. I've hit, let's see, so that's my hard. One click, second click, third click, fourth click. So it kind of goes down like that with the round brush into an airbrush. So that's really how I control it, and that's what I'll be doing throughout this tutorial. So once again, let's grab a new layer. I'm going to go down a little bit on my gray scale here. And I'm just going to make kind of, first I'm going to try to make this a hard-sided brush again. And I'm just going to kind of make that water droplet shape. Just like so, nothing fancy. There we go. I'll increase this a little bit so it's a little bit easier to see for you guys, just like that. Okay, so I kind of have my shape in there a little bit, so I'm going to add a little bit more white on the inside. So I'm going to just increase the size of my brush, and I'm lightly just kind of putting in some tone right in here, so that light tone right here. Then I'm going to hit my my smudge tool. Now I have mine set to the letter N, so I hit that, but I'll show you what my smudge tool that I'm using really looks like inside of my brush sets. My transfers on my scattering, you can see where my scattering is kind of at right here, 69%, count them one, just like that. That way you kind of know what it looks like. So back into my smudge tool, and I'm just going to kind of lightly go over this. It's just going to smudge this out. Kind of gives it that gradient to the middle where there's no color. And then if I think that's too much, I can always go in there and erase some. So if I grab my eraser, I make sure I'm on an airbrush, and then I can come back in here, maybe kind of go through in the middle, just lightly pull that back a little bit. Just like so. Now for me, I want to make highlights on here, so maybe that white is a little bit too bright to start with. So I'm going to go Command U, and that's going to bring up my hue saturation adjustments. And I'll take this lightness, and I'm just going to kind of darken it a little bit. Just like that. Okay, so there's our droplet. I'm going to grab another layer, get my brush again, and I'm going to make it a little bit brighter, and I'm just going to hit maybe some areas that's going to catch some light. Now I'm going to make it where my light is coming this direction right here. So I'm going to kind of hit right in here on this side, and if you hear me clicking, I'm either increasing my the size of my brush, or I'm turning it into a softer or harder brush. Right now I haven't turned that. I'm just kind of increasing and decreasing the size of the brush. So let's kind of look at that right there. Pretty cool. Maybe I want to bring that brightness in right in there a little bit. Okay, and you can work on the same layer if you want to. It's all up to you. A lot of times what I will do is I will add another layer, work on it, add another layer, work on it, add another layer, work on it, and once I'm happy with it, I'll merge it all down. So that's just kind of almost a force of habit for me right now. So I'm going ahead and add another layer, and this, I probably would normally for this anyway, when you're going to add highlights. So I'm going to grab very bright, and what I can do right here is, if I want to, I'm just hitting Control Alt Z to go backwards, but I can kind of hit it right in here and then blend it out just by going lighter, just like that. And then on the opposite side, I'm going to do a little bit of the same thing, right in the middle, kind of make it go out like that. So you could leave it like that if you want to. I mean, that's absolutely fine. But let's add some color to it. It might be a little bit more cartoony or something like that, but we can add some color to it. So since these are my highlights, I'm going to actually go underneath it. So I'm going to click the layer underneath, add a new layer, and I can go normal if I want to, right here. But I do like the hard light blending mode, because I feel like sometimes it gives me just a nice rich color. So I'm going to turn this into my soft brush by toggling. Just going to go in here like this. I'm probably going to pull this back a lot too. So I'll just get in here a little bit, and then I'm going to get into my eraser and I'm going to erase this out a little bit. Or another option is just to kind of take it back with the opacity up there. In this one I may not want a lot of color, but maybe I want a little bit right in there. Add a little bit more color. Grab my brush, just like so. And this all depends on how far you want to go with this version. Let's do the same thing, but I'm going to go darker. So I'm going to drop this a little bit, go into a little bit darker blue. I will take it around on this side a little bit. Kind of see what that looks like. So. Right in there. So that's not bad. So like I said, that's kind of cartoony. You could take those out if you want to, but it's also, it's got a nice look to it. I might take out some of that blue right in here. Might be a little bit too much, right? So now I'm going to go up over top of all these. So I'm going to go to my very top layer, which is my shine. Add a layer. Go back up to really close to that bright white, and I'm going to make this layer a screen mode. Take my soft brush, make sure I actually have my brush, there we go. Take my soft airbrush, so it looks like that, and I'm just going to kind of go over lightly right in here, kind of give it a shine. And you can make that as almost like the light is hitting it right there. If you want, can kind of hit that other side almost like the light's passing through it too. And that's pretty good. So in the next one, I went ahead and grabbed a picture of a leaf. And I'm just going to double that, Command J, and you'll see that doubles that in my layers. And I'm going to Filter, blur, Gaussian blur. I'm just going to blur this out a little bit because this is not our main focus. Our main focus is actually going to be another drop. So what I'm going to do really quick is just going to grab a different brush, and I'm going to just try to pull down. Maybe I'll pull down a, there we go, kind of like a piece of grass, a blade of grass. Grab some of this color that's already in here. Grab some of this, zoom in here. The brush I'm using has a little bit of texture on it. It's really not necessary when you're doing this, but I like to use different brushes. If you watched any of my other tutorials, I try to grab different brushes and just mess around with them a little bit. I made this one not too long ago, so give me some blues in there. This isn't too important, but you know. Alrighty, good enough. So here's our blade of grass, and that's going to be a little bit more in focus because that's what we're going to be focusing on. I'm going to grab a new layer, my brush, then we are going to take a blue and we're going to make our water droplet on this blade of grass. Now on this one I'm going to go dark on the edges because you'll see that with a lot of water droplets too. Like I said, the last one was more cartoony, I guess you might say, but this one can be a little bit more real. And you'll notice if you take a look at your reference material, you'll see a lot of these drops will have a darker edge, aside from the highlights, of course. I'm just erasing a little bit of this edge, toggling to make this a little bit harder edge brush. Oops. And I've said this in other tutorials also, that make sure you use reference. Even if you're doing something cartoony, you know, reference will help you make it more realistic. You know, even though you're doing something cartoony, you're still going to want it to be believable. So, okay, so here we go. I'm going to grab a little bit lighter. A little bit lighter, and pull that down right in here. If you wanted to make this more painterly, then you know you don't have to use a smudge tool or anything like that. So once again, I can grab my smudge. I can smudge this all out like so. If I don't want to grab my smudge tool, let me take that whole thing away. Get back in here. I'll grab a different brush. Maybe my little brush here has got a little bit of texture to it. What I can do here, so let's just do that. On this one, I will not use my smudge to clean it up a lot. And I don't mean clean up a lot, I mean to smooth everything. So with this, I won't smooth it a lot. And I will just use my color picker. Kind of do that. And what will happen, since anytime you use your color picker, you're going to get a little bit of what's in the background too. And with drops, that's good because you're going to see right through the drop, and it's going to pick up a little bit of that background, that environment. So just pull that in. Just like that, and I can grab that background, I can push it back out like so, grab that edge, if I think it's not blending enough. Like so. Cool. I'm going to go ahead and merge those down. So I have those on one. Erase this one. Okay. Then what I can do is I want to go ahead and once again grab that light. Once again, I'm going to have that light coming in this direction. Make it look like that water is kind of surrounding that grass right here, that blade of grass. So I'm going to bring that light down. Just like that. But as you'll see, I'm trying to keep this edge dark. But the sun is going to change parts of the droplet. And I look over at my other screen because I have reference images over there to kind of remind me about how the light is actually going to work within the droplet. And like I said before, that's what you should be doing, looking at your reference and try to get it to where it looks similar to that. So I'm going to go ahead and add a layer, and I'm going to get my hard light. For some reason, I like the way hard light messes around with the colors, and I'm going to get some of that blue so I can put into it. That might be too much, right? So I'm going to erase some of that back out. Soft brush, pull that back out. There we go, just a little bit added. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this green in here, and I'm going to brighten that green up. I'm going to make another layer, and I'm going to do a hard light layer again. And I want this to be bright. So I'm going to make this area right in here brighter green. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to darken this area right up in here. I'm just going to kind of blend those together. Let me turn that into a soft brush a little bit. Right in here like that. So we can kind of see that interacting. It's way too much, I think. I need to really kind of start blending things together. Like this. Even this right here. I can bring this dark down around. There we go. Yeah, I can already tell that's getting better just by changing that bit. I need to get it a little bit darker. I'm just toggling the size of my brush right now. Big or smaller, just depending where I want to get in here. Okay. If you have a blue sky, you're going to get a blue tint to a lot of your objects as well. I mean, your people, if you're painting people, they're going to pick up a blue sky, especially in the shadow areas where if you're in direct sunlight, you're going to get a yellow, but on the opposite side, it's going to pick a little bit more of that sky color. But water's a little bit different. I'm just going to add this blue to it right in there. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and add some of my bright points. Go back into one of my brushes here. Like so. And I'm not thinking that it's blending in with the background too much. It might be way over saturated, so let me pull this back a little bit, the saturation. And I may even have to come in here and darken this a little bit. So let me add a bit of blue here. Go back and grab my round brush. A little bit darker. Yeah, that's better. You'll be surprised, even some of your drops, they'll get dark spots in them from where they're reflecting other things. So I can go in here, even go really dark if I want. That took away some of my edge. I went over that, but I think that works better actually. It looks like it's blending more the way a drop would. I like that a lot better. You can kind of see the difference from there to there. Much better. Go back up to my highlights. I'll add another layer. Grab brush, texture brush, pull that down. Even pull this over top a little bit if I want. And then I want to erase a little bit of it. So a lot of it's just building, kind of playing around with it, seeing what you like, taking away, you know. Not too bad. Let's add a little bit of blue on this back side. It may not be very noticeable, but and then I'm going to add a little bit of white. Get back up here. Cool. So like I said, in this one, it's not that white all the way around. This is more like the way a real drop might look, where it's not going to have white perfectly everywhere. But you may run into that as well. You're going to see a lot of different things in nature that is going to kind of throw you off. So you just kind of play around with it. So I'm going to go back to my screen mode. Airbrush. I'll get that really bright white. So I can do it like this. I'll show you in another video another way that I like to add. This is almost kind of like a glow. So you can do it like this, and I'm going to take that away. And I'm going to go to my black paint bucket tool. Color dodge. Wipes this totally clean, right? Back to my brush. And I'm going to go pretty bright, but I'm going to go over to my opacity and I'm going to drop this down, because if I leave this bright, this is what it does. It blows it out very fast. So I want to have a little bit more control. So I'm going to drop my opacity a little bit. And with my airbrush, I'm just going to kind of lightly go over top of this. Just like that. Not sure if I like that, but that's why when you're working with glowing items, things that glow, sometimes one thing doesn't work as well as another, and you might want to just keep messing around with it. Let's see here. So I don't really like the way that this version is affecting it. I think I like the screen much better. Yeah, to me that's working way better. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that color dodge layer and just leave the screen and come back in here and kind of hit it a little bit more. That area. Just like that. And add another layer, and let's put just kind of go a little bit harder on my brush. Maybe some little specks of white in there, like there's some stuff being reflected around and moving around in there. Maybe even inside of this black. Maybe we're getting a little reflection here. Ooh, might help if I bring my opacity back up, huh? So right in here. And this is why I add another layer. If I don't like something, right, I can go back and just erase it out a little bit. That's not too bad either, so pretty good. I'll take that, and if we wanted to, we could play with the color more. Let me just take a look and see what hard light does with this. Sometimes you get some really bright saturated colors, kind of nice. So you can add that, take that away. Really kind of up to you and how you're going to do this. Okay, so for the next one, what we're going to do is we're going to do it right on top of the leaf. So get back in here, grab a layer, and I'm going to go ahead and get my elliptical marquee tool. Make a little circle, and we can always mess with the size of this later. And let's grab black, and I'm going to turn this into overlay. So with my soft brush, my soft round brush, airbrush, I'm just going to kind of go dark right over here, right around this, kind of on both sides, but I'm going to hit more on one side. Just like that. And then I'm going to grab another layer, overlay again, get more of a bright green. Let's see what this looks like real quick. Yeah, there we go. I want to get more of this bright green right in here, just like this. Excellent. Maybe I'm going to push it yellow. See what happens right there. Alrighty, just like that. Grab another layer. Then I'm going to give it my little dot, my little highlight. Make sure this is pretty bright. There we go, not too bad. And D for deselect. Yeah, it's pretty good. Let me see if I move this over a little bit. I'm gonna hit V. I'm just going to move this over. I'll hit E and erase some of this out. There we go. Like that. I even take some of this out. Let me hit E for this. Right, not so dark, not so dark. Awesome. Go back in here into that yellow, and we'll do the same thing. Oop. Pump it up a little bit. That might have been a little bit too much. Soft, 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 soft. There we go. Just like that. Then, pretty much have a water droplet right there. So let me go ahead and merge these. Can move these around like so. I want to even make these a little bit smaller. I'm going to Command J and double that. Then what I'm going to do is, actually I got to move those over. I'll show you a little trick that we can do. Select this layer, filter, liquefy. Actually, we don't need to do it like that. Let's just go ahead and grab our lasso tool. Then I'm going to lasso that area, filter, liquefy, and you'll see that it selects just that area right in there. So now I'm going to grab my, it's kind of like a smudge tool, it's kind of like a pull tool, and I'm just going to pull this. Just going to pull this right up. Just like that. Hit OK. And now you can see that everything that we did kind of goes right along with it. So deselect. You have your nice little look to that if we pull those down. But you know, if you do it on a real leaf, you're going to have to find the area that this is going to fit. So maybe I even turn this a little bit right in here like that. Drop it down a little bit. There we go. Beautiful. So next, let's add some drop shadows to these. So I'm just going to double click on the layer, go to drop shadow, and figure out where I really want my shadow to be. Put it right about here. And we'll make our distance. That's pretty good. Size. Right about there. That's not too bad. We can drag this layer style to layer style. We can drag the layer style to the next one by what I did was, let me go Command and Option. Pull that there. There we go. And that brought that layer, the layer effects, all the way down to the other one. So there we go. We have some water droplets, just like that. And so that's it for painting water droplets. I hope this helps you guys and in your own things that you're working on. If you have any questions, leave a comment. And if you like the video, please like it. If you don't like it. And if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. If you have subscribed, thank you. But until next time, guys, I appreciate all your support. If you want to support me more, I have a Patreon page, a Gumroad page. But otherwise, thanks a lot, and I'll see you guys next time.